game-changing discussions on the big ideas that shape our thinking. This is One2One. Previously on One2One.
When I finished my first 5 years, it was obvious to me that being a public servant was something to be proud of.
Absolutely.
If you're in the private sector and you're MD of a company like what I was before I joined the NCC, you're responsible to your board of directors and to your shareholders, and that's it. In the public service, decisions you make affect the whole country.
On the subject of leadership in public service, you are obviously very widely respected for your integrity in leadership. You were thrust into the position of a regulator in a space and at a time when there was so much money and power at stake. I'm probing further into your mindset. What were those guiding principles that helped you at such a crucial time?
Let me say that I've never been somebody who was given to too much want. That is number one. I had my personal principles as a human being. I can say it proudly that no person can say that he had given me any incentive in order to make a decision. After I left NCC, many people came to me, I meet, telling me that they got licenses without even knowing who I was. You set the standards, set the parameters. People who met the parameters got what they were applied for. It was open, transparent, and we insisted on that all the time. And people will try to influence you. There is no way that wouldn't happen. But it's the ability to resist and say no, because it's a very tempting thing. I never looked at it in that light. Yesterday was my birthday.
Oh,
and
congratulations.
One of the messages I got from somebody who is known to me, he described me as a man of integrity and a detribalized Nigerian. I felt very happy because, in fact, I met the guy yesterday at the lunch at the Metropolitan Club.
Right.
He asked me, "Did you receive my text?" I said, "Yes." He said that was from the heart, which meant that he wasn't doing that to just talk, that he felt strongly about that. So it makes me happy when I hear things like that, because the public is the judge of what you've done. Of course, I have my values, my Christian values. I would not do anything that will put me in trouble. I would also not do anything that will prick my conscience very badly. But after all said and done, it is all for the love of country and love of legacy. What did you go out to achieve? I remember when we had some consultants. They were from the World Bank, actually, and they were trying to prescribe the process for us to do the opening up of the industry and everything. And they were saying that the first thing was to privatize NITEL. And this is where that boldness and that clarity of purpose comes in. And my response to them was, I'm sorry, I'm not in charge of privatizing NITEL, and I don't know when that would happen. But I want to give telecom services to the Nigerian people today because they're very much far behind.
Yeah.
So it's not a question of waiting for NITEL to be privatized, because that time they were playing politics with privatization of NITEL. It wasn't in our hands. And you won't believe it, Doc, privatization of NITEL happened about 7 years after the telecom revolution had happened, because people could not let go of some cow they were milking from what they were milking from NITEL. They had many attempts that failed. They've tried privatization of NITEL 2 or 3 times and failed. And up till the time they did it eventually, NITEL couldn't survive. So that is just an example of when you decide to do certain things at that certain time, you don't depend, what is not within your area of control, you cannot start depending on those things, because if we had listened to that advice, Nigeria would have been set back many years. And we went ahead, did what we had to do, and the thing Nigeria boomed in terms of telecom services.
Absolutely. So, Dr. Ndukwe, I'm going to ask this question, bearing in mind the fact that, of course, you, for quite a long time, you wore one hat as a regulator, and you've since gone on to become chairman of MTN. But I want to take us back to that, the legend of MTN's inception that we're all quite familiar with now, and Africa Capital Alliance's investment in MTN through Cape 1, 2, and 3, its initial investment of 400 million and its exit at 13 billion years later. What does that tell us about the sheer size and scale of the Nigerian economy and the latent potential it has to unleash growth on behalf of 200 million plus Nigerians? MTN Nigeria today is bigger than MTN South Africa, is it not? What does that progress tell us about the capacity that our country has for growth?
Yes, Nigeria is such a great potential. I wanted to say such a great country because it has all the trappings, it has all that is required to make it a great country. Take the auction that happened in those days. The entry point to be part of that auction process was a deposit of $20 million. And that was to make sure that only serious investors came to the bidding table. Because the one they had before I came in, there were 18 or 19 people who were interested in buying the licenses. And of course, a lot of background lobbying and things like that. So that was why it was canceled. So $20 million sounded like a large amount of money, but for the size of the industry, it wasn't so large.
Yeah.
Secondly, there were some consultants who assessed the potential of the Nigerian market wrongly. They were looking at the buying power of the average Nigerian from the salary of the average civil servants at the time. Meanwhile, the truth is that the Nigerian economy, 80% private sector, and with a lot of money. Even the ladies in Okere Market and places like that were sending their children to study abroad.
The informal sector.
The informal sector, you know. So we did our own internal studies and internal assessment, and we were very much convinced about the potential of the Nigerian market.
Mm.
And that potential still exists till today.
Yeah.
All it requires is honesty of purpose in terms of our leaders in this country. That's all that's required. Let those who can do things do those things. And of course, the bidders will also convince themselves, because, I mean, if they didn't think that Nigeria had that potential,
Sure.
they wouldn't be bidding up to $285 million for a license.
Indeed.
So they had done their math, and it was obvious that it was a very good market. And like you observed, because of the population, the potential of the market, and the hunger people had for telecom and ICT services, people just embraced the network very much. And within a year, what they were predicting would happen in 2-3 years happened within 1 year.
Yes.
And after that was building like that till 10 years, which you are referring to. You're right, that shows the potential of the Nigerian market. This country would have even blossomed some more if some of the things we had proposed at that time were carried out. My dream for the industry was even beyond Nigeria. There was something I coined that time about fiber without borders. It was to encourage African countries to embark on massive installation of fiber optic cables. Mm. You can imagine if we did this 15 years ago, when we muted the idea, what Africa would have become in terms of its capacity to embrace modern ICT technologies. Mm. Even in Nigeria here, many operators were ready to install fiber infrastructure at many of our big cities with their own funds. All they needed was right of way, and that was not forthcoming. Today, I'm happy they are now trying to do it, but like people say, it's better late than never. But yes, each time you actually holding your people back. Right of way is so critical. Fiber infrastructure is so important for modern telecom services. If you do it at the right time, then the expansion will be great. Universities will have access to high-speed internet. Right now, people are not getting the benefit because of this right-of-way restrictions. Mm. And sometimes I think is the fact that many of our political leaders could not link development in ICT to development in the human being and the economy. Mm. Because ICT is an engine of growth and development.
It's an enabler.
It's a big enabler. So if you're restricting it, you're just holding yourself down. There are many parts of this country, if they had ICT services, companies will move to the rural areas to operate.
Yes, of course.
Because they have high-speed internet. They don't need to pay huge sums of money being in the city. And that's what happens in many parts of the world.
Correct.
You actually relocate to where you have good internet service
Sure.
and
Lower costs.
lower costs. Thank you very much. Lower costs. So that is the big issue. And I, in fact, describe some of our political leaders in those days as people who lacked foresight. Because if they did, they would have just said, look, they could have even paid people to come and install or give them free right of way. Because you collect the dividends after the right of way has been given. And infrastructure is made copiously available in the environment. And your economy starts booming.
Absolutely.
And you start getting the benefit of that.
Correct.
So that is the general thing there. The Nigerian economy has so much potential even up till today.
After NCC, you went on to chair MTN Nigeria, one of Africa's biggest companies. Now, this is MTN, subscriber base of over 70 million subscribers at this point in time. Market share of approximately 40%. MTN has about $2 billion approximately invested in infrastructure. Now, it must be quite different for you as an individual, really, being in charge of a regulatory agency, now being chairman of this colossus.
Big.
Yes, that is MTN. So has crossing over afforded you any insights into the opportunities and challenges actually in the industry? Is there anything you would have done differently as a regulator given what you know now?
Okay, that's a good one. The truth is that I did not start in the public service.
Absolutely.
So I started my life in the private sector.
Yes.
So I had a fair amount of idea
Yes.
of what works and what will make an industry thrive. And that was an advantage I had
Going into the public sector.
going into the public sector. Because regulating the telecom industry, you knew that it's not about being a lawgiver or just making sure that you come out with licenses and all that. You also need to look at how to encourage investment. Because if you don't, I always told people in those days that when it was just NITEL, you didn't need a regulator. It was just one company. NITEL was also a regulator on its own, you know. But you're only a regulator when you have other private companies
Correct.
that are delivering services.
Absolutely.
So you have a number of companies to supervise. When those companies die, you don't have a business as a regulator. So I always said in those days that the job of a regulator stands on a tripod. You have to please government, please the customers, and please the operators, the service providers. You can't leave one out of that equation. Government is interested in what ICT can do for the economy.
Sure.
So they are busy trying to encourage liberalization, providing all kinds of incentives to get investments in and things like that. So it's very important. Then the regulator is making sure that there is a level playing field in the industry and that people are not, we don't abuse market power in any way, and that new operators are encouraged to come in to improve competition. These are the primary, should be the primary focus of the regulatory agency. Yes. Then the private sector must be encouraged to continue to invest without let or hindrance. They must be encouraged to pour in money, expand the market, provide service to operators, and to consumers, and make sure that things work well. Of course, the regulator has the job of making sure that quality of service is at an acceptable level across all the operating companies. Let me just say that I am fortunate because I got invitations from various companies to join their boards, and I decided to just take my time to just look well and all that. MTN is a very well-run company. It's something that can only happen when the company is well-rooted in good management and a well-structured process. And MTN, of course, as you know, is a company that is a group company. We have businesses in other African countries, about 17 or 18 countries today. And they are all at various levels of performance in terms of size. MTN Nigeria is a big company. Yeah. I think it was last month, we enjoyed being the biggest company in the capital market. We are rated the biggest in the capital market. So it's a major company. And that achievement is not because of any other thing, but because of the hardworking people that are there. Sure. And the operational style of the company, which makes it possible for us to continue to excel.
So given the antecedents of a company like MTN Nigeria and the position it occupies in this country, can I ask you, how important is it for a company like MTN to assist or facilitate relations between Nigeria and South Africa, for example?
Very good question. We are very much involved. As you know, MTN is MTN Group started in South Africa. MTN as a company started in South Africa and then got its license in Nigeria in 2001. We're very much involved. We're actually happy that President Tinubu and Ramaphosa, they've actually found some areas of meeting point. And we have South Africa, Nigeria Binational Commission, which MTN is playing very important role in facilitating what goes on there in terms of support, wherever we can. Of course, other private organizations are also involved. Even the NESG is involved in one way or the other. So I think there is one event that is even coming up in October this year, which will see some people come from South Africa to Nigeria for one of those meetings that are important in getting the two countries together. And I must say that South Africa and Nigeria hold rather important position in Africa in terms of making Africa respected in the Committee of Nations. So I think it should be taken seriously.
Yes.
And both MTN Nigeria and the MTN Group is actually committed in facilitating that relationship and making sure that it works well for both countries. I think AI is the next big thing. But I had talked about optic fiber infrastructure. We're still backward. That's why sometimes when they say that we've grown, I accept, but we can be bigger than we are today. We need more optic fiber installations around the country.